Here's my pick for the best Christmas Carol film from every decade. The first known film adaptation of Dickens' classic is a 6-minute short film from 1901 called Scrooge or Marley's Ghost, and it was actually very revolutionary for the time, using a lot of special effects and filmmaking techniques that would go to define silent cinema. My favorite of the silent films, though, is Christmas Carol 1914, which does a lot more to flesh out the story and lets the actors do a lot of the storytelling, while A Christmas Carol 1923 does a lot of interesting trick photography and it has better pacing. The first sound film adaptation is Scrooge 1935, starring Sir Seymour Hicks, who to this day puts in one of the best performances as Scrooge and really carries the film, which overall nails the tone and the message of the story. Unfortunately, the only surviving film version from the 40s is The Christmas Carol 1949, which is a TV special with Vincent Price doing narration. It's not good. I would just recommend you just go watch It's a Wonderful Life instead. They have a lot of similar plot points. Things really get cooking in the 50s when Scrooge 1951 gave us Alastair Sim's now iconic performance as Ebenezer and fills in a lot more of his backstory. Of the versions from the 60s, Mr. Magoo's Christmas Carol definitely stands out, being the first animated version of the story, as well as the oldest surviving musical version, and overall just has a lot of very memorable and emotional scenes. For the 70s, I desperately want to give it to the 1971 animated short, which is by far the most book-accurate version. But in terms of rewatchability and entertainment, I'm going to have to go with Scrooge 1970, the musical starring Albert Finney, which definitely is the best at adapting the story in creative ways. A Christmas Carol 1984, starring George C. Scott, is a very solid entry that sticks very close to the book and has great performances. And the 90s is the only decade that I had to do a tie, because that decade gave us both The Muppet Christmas Carol, which requires no explanation, and the 1999 film starring Sir Patrick Stewart, which in my opinion is the best telling of the story that combines Stewart's phenomenal acting that portrays so much of the subtext. The 20-aughts was easy because 2009 gave us Ghosts of Girlfriends Past, a rom-com starring No, I'm kidding. Robert Zemeckis' mocap film starring Jim Carrey doesn't hold back on the dark, eerier parts of the story, and they utilize the animation technology well in order to put great character designs onto even better performances, and even if the animation's a little dated, it really does add to the spooky vibe that the story should have. The 2010s gifted us with a load of absolute crap adaptations. But among that crap is The Man Who Invented Christmas, which is not actually a direct adaptation, but tells the story of how Charles Dickens came to write the story, and more than any other, makes clear the intent and purpose of the story. As for the 2020s, I could easily give it to Star Kids VHS Christmas Carol or Jefferson May's one-man Broadway show, but I'm gonna have to give it to Netflix Scrooge A Christmas Carol. Easily the most creative visuals ever used to tell this story. They really reap the benefits of animation, and they tell it in such a mesmerizing way. Now, I've seen over 130 film adaptations of A Christmas Carol, and a question I get a lot is, what would be my ideal film version? Like, if given the opportunity to make my own Christmas Carol, what would I do? And the answer for me is simple: I wouldn't. There's enough great ones out there. This video only covered 15 of them. There are plenty of other serviceable, creative, entertaining ways that this story has and can be told. I don't need another one. Merry Christmas.